I don't know what provoked me to like just start singing Magnolia Wind behind him as he's waiting in line.
Oh no, you did
I
not.
just wanted him to know that I knew who he was and that I loved that song. So I just kind of started singing it, and he turned around and I was like, "That's a great song." He just kind of laughed, but I want.
Hey everybody, Ronny Criss here. Thank you for joining me in the writer's room. Today we will be talking about the song from the Highways record called Open Road. And I'm here with my partner in crime and co-writer of that song, my dear friend, Mr. Shawn Byrne. Shawn, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, guys, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in.
Open Road is a song.
Yeah.
It's a song on the record that I'm very proud of. I'm obviously proud of all the songs on the record, but it's kind of an anchoring song in the record because it has so much about what the whole record's about. It's kind of like if the record means something overall, this one song is like that sort of microcosm of the whole thing. And
Yeah,
that was kind of on purpose. And we wrote this surprising.
it's a concept record, if you will.
I did do that.
I mean, not really, but sort of.
It's a concept in sort of
It has a common thread of that this song sort of embodies throughout the record.
It does. And the nice thing about it, if I ever do a video of this sort of a deep dive into what I was trying to do with the whole thing and every song, if everything goes the way that it should, because we're still in it. For those of you watching, we're filming this in the last stages of putting the record together. So there's things could change on me before this video is released. But as far as I know, I think this is the opening song on the second side. And so it marks a flipping of sort of a certain kind of consciousness that the record has. But yeah, we wrote this 3 years ago, Shawn. Can you believe that?
No. How old were we? What year is it right now?
I wasn't 40.
I think I became a dad since this song was written, and
you
I don't think
went and made your son after you wrote the song.
that's right. It inspired my boy because he just.
I doubt it, but yes, it's his son just turned 3, and this song is 3 years old, and it's crazy to me.
Does this song throw tantrums over the bath, or
it might. It's pretty easy going though. It's pretty easy going.
Yeah, it's an easygoing song. Yeah.
the other one we wrote with Katie Cole. That's the one that'll turn the tantrums.
Yeah, 10 and 2.
10 and 2. We'll talk about that another day, and hopefully we'll get Katie on that call. But anyway, so Open Road. It's really about sort of letting go of things, realizing you need to. So at some point in your life, you start to realize that all the weight you're carrying is just weighing you down, and you need to sort of get out there and get on the move and let some things go and find that place that you belong. That's really the elevator pitch for the song.
I can relate to that.
You can relate to that?
I can. Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people can. We're all trying to find that place.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's a cool song that way. It's got that universal message. I think everybody can relate to that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in regards to the writing process, which I'm sure people are interested, like how the song came about. I remember I was playing guitar one day, and I was messing around with the chords that the song eventually became. And what I found was there was this cool thing, this vibe that was really inspiring me, and the vibe that I was kind of feeding off of, which has a lot in the record, is a lot of these sort of petty-ass songs that I was listening to at the time.
Yeah, it's very petty groove.
Yeah. Well, and we totally we went with that. I mean, I felt like it needed to go that way. The song that I think was most inspirational to this song was it's pieces of like Running Down a Dream.
Mm-hmm. I could hear that.
And then there's some songs off of Tom Petty's Highway Companion record, which highly inspired me. And there's some I think there's pieces from songs on that record that sort of are inspired in this. But what happened was I was playing that part, and I just started sort of singing these. I was trying to get myself in this place, and I love the idea of like the opening line of the song, with the wind at my back and a new sky on the horizon. I thought that is like, that sets the mood. It's like, okay, we're going somewhere new, which I wanted that song to make it feel like we're going away from something into something new. And then it says, I'm letting go of the past, catching my future where it happens, which is
Right.
basically the nutshell of the song. And it's
These
all,
are all words too. You came up with all this. This was all you.
yeah, yeah. I brought this part to you for sure.
Yeah.
Verses, the first two verses I brought to you, and then we the part that you really helped me with is as we get to the chorus and how that
Right.
it solidifies itself. But what's interesting is with the wind in my back and the new sky on the horizon, I'm letting go of the past and catch my future where it happens is also the tag of the song, which
Mhm.
is I think is appropriate because the first four lines being the last four lines makes sense because it is the essence of the song in four lines,
Oh,
you know, and then the rest of the song is sort of gets a little deeper into that picture, paints the picture, gives you more of that feeling. Um, you know, there's another key line in the first verse. I've been learning not to take things so damn hard. Let it ride until you feel at home. And I really wanted that in there. I remember when I wrote that part, that was really important to me at that time because I think that was a time in my life where I was starting to be able to do that
yeah.
personally, to 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 understand that, you know, not everything is, you know, I guess sort of maneuvered against your favor. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not always about you. I guess is what I'm thinking.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. And you captured that sentiment amazingly, I think.
yeah, like I'll jump ahead. The second verse talks about it gives you some furniture. You know, the second verse talks about small town, like a small town flying by it. Like if you're on the highway, I've done that 1,000 times where I'm just, you know, going 80 down the highway and I see these small towns and I just zip right by them. And when I put that in the second verse, it was like those are whole worlds that you're just zipping by, and they don't even have a time. They don't even know who you are.
I think about it, when I'm driving down to Texas or up to, going on long drives, you just think about these are people live here. Like there's a whole microcosm going on right here in this little town. And, I find it really inspiring, that feeling of being on the road. And
Me too, man. I mean,
I
it's
write, I write a lot of I get a lot of song ideas when when I'm just like on long drives and stuff. But, yeah, there's something romantic about it too,
oh yeah,
the open road. I mean, you
well,
can't
it's
deny that.
it's freedom. It's progression. It's progress in the sense that you're moving and you're getting to
Yeah.
it is it's adventure, you know, because you don't know what's over the next hill. And and I think the reason it's so romantic is it's basically that's what life is like, you know, like
A good metaphor for the journey,
yeah.
you know?
Classically, you know, like it's definitely a very American kind of metaphor because not every country sort of experiences life that way in terms of it's just not part of the culture is deeply the idea of an open road and, you know, highways and going across the country because in America going across the country is a real trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Have you done it? Have you driven across
no,
country before?
no, I just know. I mean, I just know how far it is. The farthest I've gone by car anywhere is 13 hours. But like, if you go from North Carolina to California, 28 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I had the opportunity to, you know, back when I was touring as a guitar player, to tour with some country artists, man, I got to, yeah, be on a tour bus and hit all the states except Hawaii. I had never been to Hawaii, but I've been to Alaska a couple times, but we flew.
Yeah.
But yeah, America is just beautiful. This
Mhm.
country is really
Listen,
in very
is
vastly different landscapes from east to west and in the middle. It's pretty astounding. But you see when you're out there, you can imagine and know why like all these songs about the road and they're just so part of our consciousness and our, who we are is that getting in a fast car and hitting the
yeah,
pedal.
absolutely. Well, and mine is a deeper thing too. Part of the reason why this song and this album came about, uh, I think for years as a writer and as somebody who's sort of trying to not only find their own voice, but then also, learn the craft and you find your footing in this really difficult and crazy industry. There was a theme that I was always coming back to, and I think it was, I've thought about this a lot, and I may do another video talking more about this at some point. But my father was a truck driver like most of my life, and now my parents were divorced, so I wasn't around him a ton, just sometimes during the summer. And even the summers that I was around him, he was actually had taken a break from driving trucks and was trying to be a farmer, which didn't work out, and he had to go back to driving trucks. But the guy my mom met was a truck driver. When I was a baby, they used to put me in the cab, in the crib or whatever, and just drive across country, him, my mom, and me. And I'm the baby in the back. Just imagine Arlo, 1 year old, like in the back of a semi, driving around cross country, right? And there's a big there's a big splitting point in my family life, and when the divorce happened. And I remember us leaving Arkansas to go to Chicago, and I remember that trip, right? And then the repercussions of that being that my family no longer is together. And
Wow.
so I think the idea of the road and the highway and the traveling is almost like in it, maybe this sounds negative, but like me making this record and writing these songs is a way of me pulling that out and sort of trying to examine it and trying to give it meaning and understanding of what it means to my life and like what I've experienced. And but I try to do it in a very general way so it's universal. That was really my
Sure.
goal. I'm not trying to say my specific story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
And
some of the songs are that way. I think. I mean, they can be interpreted by a lot of different people and have different meanings. To them. You know, that's what I love about music. It doesn't have to be so specific. And
yeah,
again, Tom was a master at that. He sort of.
absolute master of it. I mean, like I I have probably top three favorite songwriters of in my whole life, and he's one of them for
Yeah.
sure. And
Yep.
what I love about Tom, which sometimes I do, I don't always do it because I also have like influences outside of Tom, but like the thing that I thought was really great about Tom is he had this way of sort of, even in the lines of a song, he would write these sort of pictured vignettes, and he'd write the next line, it wouldn't be tied to it necessarily. Like it would be a different sort of image vignette, and they weren't necessarily connected, but his ability to put them put them next to each other gave them meaning, which I always thought was really interesting in certain songs. Like he really, sometimes where he has those songs with the weird lines in it.
Hey,
There's,
have you listened to Sunvolt Trace? That record?
I think a while ago.
Yeah, that one out again. Any of you people watching, check out. If you haven't heard Sunvolt Trace, it's got to be a 20-year-old record now, if not more. But the wordplay, it's like snapshots of the whole record's this way. It's like little postcards, but they're like a collage of words that don't really. I don't know. It's a great record. It sounds great, but lyrically, it's sort of Jay Farrar just was a master, almost like these word clippings that he would just put together, but they created this collage. It's just like a mental collage that took you somewhere. It's really, really, really cool record, and I love when songs do that. They sort of.
Absolutely.
I tend to be a more literal writer, really on the nose, and that's why it's great to write with folks like you because it gets me out of that. Get a little more poetic and
And I think I do a little bit of both. I mean, I've been in, Nashville. Nashville's known to be a certain kind of town when it comes to writing songs,
yeah.
certain kinds of songs that they really believe is I don't know, the stronger type of writing. And I feel like being here, we've learned that and we're aware of it. But I try to like stay connected to all of my influences and the things that I love, because those are the reasons why I love making music. It's the bug that bit me that has never let go. It's like, and so I try to think of those things and put them together. You know, so you were speaking about collage lyrics. You know, the master of collage lyrics, Dylan,
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a unbelievable.
definitely Dylan.
I mean, that guy would just, he was patchworking straight references from literature, like, and the
Yeah,
Bible, and like all sorts of stuff. And then
I
like,
love that kind of writing. He's, you know, in Towns Van Zandt and Poncho and Lefty, like I think somebody even asked, I forget who it was, but they asked Towns, you know, what is that song about? And he said, hell, I don't know. You know, one of the one of the great songs of all time, Poncho and Lefty.
yeah,
What's
dude.
it
And
about?
I love that song. I love singing that song. Like
Yeah,
that song is fun to play. It's fun to sing. And fun. I mean, it's not like a fun song. It's a beautiful song. It's a sort of a,
but you could sort of create your own story. At least when I hear that song, like the characters, you know, like you could almost see them, and your own psyche sort of fills in the gaps of their story, so that you sort of make meaning, even though the song doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Like there's all these different characters, the Federales and the Poncho and Lefty. Like who are these characters? But somehow I could see them and I know them. I don't know how I know them, but
well, I think and this is funny because we're, this is, I love talking about songs because this happens.
yeah,
But like with that song in particular, I think the reason that that happens for you or people in general is the dramatic elements of what's happening in those songs, like the way the characters carry themselves, the things that
mm,
happens to everybody in life.
yeah,
There's always the overzealous, maybe arrogant one who meets his demise because he was, you know, at some point he met it, you know, wrong the right, there's a wrong situation that does him in, right? There's always
right.
a person who is desperate and probably does something they probably shouldn't and has to
Yeah,
escape.
I mean, I love how you fall in love with both character, even though they're like you're almost forced to forgive the bad part about you know you have to forgive these guys, you know. It's just I don't know, it's just amazing what he did with the words of that song to with our minds and our hearts, and that to me is a perfect song, you know.
Oh yeah,
It's,
no, there's no,
it's unapologetically vague, but it's also very very rich at the same time. So
yeah, and I think that's the,
I don't
there's,
know what I'm gonna say, but
you're on the right on the money, man. I mean,
I'm trying to sound smart. I'm just kidding.
no, it's that's one of the beauties of writing songs. It's the cool thing that you can do, you know, and
Yeah,
try to do that with in slightly different ways. Sometimes you try to tell a story like Towns did that has some characters. They might not be characters that are real, but they just have like they tell a story. And sometimes you can tell a story, you know, I think with Open Road, it's really one person and it's an experience, but it's kind of a mythical experience. It's kind of a vision. It's not necessarily, you know, it's not verbatim like what was happening. Like this person
right.
drove to Atlanta and then went to Little Rock. Like it's not like that. It's really about the feeling of trying to reach that place that you want to get to.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, and so that like so getting us to the chorus. The chorus is the key part where you really helped. When I brought you the song, I really didn't know what to do with the chorus at that time. And the way the song is written, it kind of, for those who like know anything about songs, like some songs have like an obvious verse, chorus, maybe verse, pre-chorus, chorus like
Yep.
layout. This song is more of the old Tin Pan Alley style in the sense that the hook is at the end of the verse, so it's more like AABA. And so really what we kind of think of as the chorus is a B verse.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having trouble like thinking, well, where does the B verse go? like, like what do we do? And I think you told me, or you played the I think or maybe I was going to C, but I think one of you, I think it was you who said, let's go to the E minor.
Minor, yeah, the E minor just whoosh, it just
Yeah.
what's wrong because you're the song's in the key of D, but is it D or is it capoed up?
It's half down, but it's
Okay, but it's the key figure or D figure. Yeah, but when D goes that E minor, you're actually going up. What is it?
Well, it goes
You're going up a step from the scale, but because E is lower than D on first position, like it sounds like it just drops and like opens up, which is kind of what I liked about just having that chord. There's nothing better than an open E minor.
Yeah, no, it's very dramatic, and it needs to be dramatic there because we had been if you listen to the song, we're moving on a track here and we're coming along, and there needs to be like an action moment, and that E minor is that action moment that changes things up. And the lyric,
If E minor, then it goes to C right after that.
yep, and then
Or is
back
it?
to D.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it's E minor C D, E minor C D, and then there's the turnaround, which is kind of like the solo section, and that goes to the minor or the flat five minor, right? I think it goes to
Yep,
A minor.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a
Yeah.
really
Right. That's right. It's almost like it changes keys, but it really doesn't.
no, it doesn't. But you're right. It feels like
Have that feeling like, okay, we just went somewhere. It's good.
it's a nice motif there for the solo section, and it also gives you a little bit of a break before you go back into the A verses that have
Yeah.
for the storytelling verses.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrically, some say I'm just running, some say I'm searching for a sign. Maybe I'm just looking for that place I go when I close my eyes. And I think, it's a nice kind of B verse because it's really just saying, people think sometimes when you're searching for what when you're out there looking for something, some people might misunderstand it or feel like you're lost. And, really you're searching, and you're trying to get to that place. And if you have a purpose, but maybe you just can't pinpoint it just yet. I think that's
Yeah, I feel like that every time I go on a trip. Pretty much.
you're like, I don't know.
But driving somewhere, got my guitar in the back seat. What the hell am I doing? Here we go.
So, and the other thing you did too on the chorus, which really helped it is I think once we started playing it, I initially took those chord ideas and I was dragging them out too long. Or I was, no, what it was I was waiting. I was hanging out in between the two lines. I was hanging on the D too long, and which just created space that was not necessary. Like,
Yeah, that I remember. Yeah, I remember we had that little dilemma. But
well, let's just go right into the next line, like kind of get
yeah,
right.
yep,
And that's the great thing about co-writing is like I might feel like the space wants to be there, but a third party or whatever, another person can elicit that and be like, look, in the general sense of the song, you're better just keeping it moving forward,
right.
and not you don't want to.
Absolutely.
And you being a tremendous musician, you're going to hear it that way a little different than I would. Sometimes I'm thinking about it from just a song perspective, but
Well, just the amount of producing and like mixing that I do in the studio, like I don't know, I don't know how many songs I've produced and mixed and recorded. It's got to be into the thousands at this point, or closing. And
right,
maybe it's been a lot of songs, but it's when I hear the song in its raw form, I could actually hear you know, the production. I could hear how the drums are going to go. I could hear like right off the bat. And I know a lot of producers and people, who work in. You probably do that too. I mean, a lot of musicians do that. We could hear parts and hooks and guitar hooks and um, yeah, it's just kind of it's something you can't like turn off. It's
well, once you
always
get
hearing parts and like, oh, is this going to be a pedal steel? I could hear the pedal steel. B3 organ, we got to have the B3 organ in there. What is it going to do? Does it need piano? That's just how my brain works. Because I'm a production guy, right? So I don't know. I'm always thinking that way, but
yeah,
I
no,
guess that's what a good arranger. Lyrics sort of elude me a lot. That's why I count on Ronnie. I
well,
can edit lyric and arrange a song, you know.
Oh yeah,
Appreciate
there's no doubt
you.
about it. I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, everybody has the thing that their things and the things
Frank.
that, um, we all try to be good at a lot of different things, and people are just at different levels of things. But you write great lyrics, Shawn. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
I get lucky now and again, but I touch on
you,
you.
you write
That's
award-winning lyrics, so
yeah. I co-wrote that with my buddy Chuck. So you're talking about "Love Was Just a Word," which I won the American Songwriter Magazine lyric contest with. But I can't take all the credit for that. But
well, you take your credit. That's all that matters. Chuck's
yep.
great. It's great.
Uh, Chuck McCarthy. I've learned a lot. He's actually been he's one of my best friends, and I've been writing songs with him for over 20 years now, and he's taught me a lot because he's a wordsmith. I'd put him up there with like Leonard Cohen and people like that. He just has a way. But anyway, back to Open Road.
So yeah, I mean, I think once we figured that out, it really kind of locked in place, and it felt like it was moving where it needed to be.
I love when that happens, man. It's like Guy Clark's. Someone asked Guy Clark, like, "How do you do it? How do you write songs?" And I saw an interview with him. He goes, you can't believe it. You can't believe that you just did it. And you don't believe that you're going to do it again, is what he said. So it's like,
I
you're
know.
not, even though he's a songwriting master, he was so full of doubt and it's so, what's the word? I mean, magical in a way. It's sort of like plucking something out of thin air and making it become a thing. Is an amazing thing to be a part of.
Oh yeah,
And you feel like you're separate from it as it's happening sometimes, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? Where did that line come from? It just popped into my
one of my
brain.
favorite examples of that have to do with me and you is that first track we did for Sea Changer. Oh shoot, I can't remember the name of the song. It's been so long.
We did
Not Hard as Home, but the very first one we did. Remember, we had we sent it to them. They loved it. It was Don't Let Me Know. Don't Let Me Know.
Yeah, great.
And I remember I was at your studio and we were trying to write something for Resonate, and we were trying to come up with something that would have the vibe for this TV show that like was what they were kind of asking us to try to target. And you had to run up to help Amy with Arlo, and you're like, here's the drum track. You gave me or the guitar part, whatever you had recorded real quick that was looping, you just put it on and you said, here, you put the headphones on, and you're like, just riff on something. I'll be right back.
Up with some stuff.
And I remember listening to it. I just sat there like this. I had the pen or whatever I was using. I think maybe it was my laptop, but I sit there and I was just listening to it, and I was kind of trying to sing along with nonsense, just trying to find my melodies. And I remember a line came in, and it was just such a picture. Mm-hmm. And the hard thing is right now I don't have it in front of me, so like I probably should find it to tell the story correctly. But I remember the line popped in my head, and from that point it gave me this image that helped me just really sort of feel what was happening, and then everything else just poured out. Like, I mean, I literally wrote the first two verses, and you came down like 15 minutes later. Oh, I remember it. It was such a random lyric. This is such a you're talking about a patchwork type of lyric, right? It says the first line is believe me, you're the better dancer.
Oh yeah, yep, that's right. I remember that.
Still the one who wants to play. I don't need an honest answer to make it through the day. Bed sheets meet ray of sunlight. You're somewhere beyond the door. The night has its many secrets. The heart has its many sores. And it was just like these lines, go ahead.
That's really good.
Thanks. So it's our song.
You're man.
But anyway, what the point is I totally identify with what Guy Clark said, because that literally those 8 lines literally felt like they fell out of the heavens. Like they just dropped in my head and the image just came flooding in, and you're just trying to catch them like you're trying to catch wild
I
fireflies.
usually have to wrestle them for hours and days just to get that much in a song, but it does on rare occasion happen where literally the song writes itself.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, holy crap, like this is, where did that come from? It happened to me with a song called Love Glows in the Dark that
Yes.
I, which is a song, I don't even know, it's a song about getting lost in the woods and you're having to bed down for the night in the dark. But I wrote it in a campground in Maine. I was on tour, doing my own tour, and we had the RV and we were in Maine, and I literally was sitting on a picnic table under an old pine tree or something, and the song was written in 10 minutes, and it's one of the best songs I've ever, I think lyrically I've ever written.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's great.
but where did that come from? It's like, it's an amazing thing. And like Guy said, you can't believe it just happened, and you can't believe it'll ever happen again. And
That's
I think
exactly how I
exactly,
felt. Uh,
and I was like, holy cow, he just summed it up, because there's so much doubt, like going into for me anyway, like going into a writing process, like I know my weaknesses, but like your weaknesses will, if you believe that you can't do it, you probably won't. You have to sort of submit to the process. And I think one of the things that I like working with you so much is because you're my friend and I don't have to feel self-conscious. Like a lot of times when I'm co-writing with somebody and I don't know them, I get the self-consciousness, and it's just me, I think, but I'm sure a lot of people experience it, but I clam up like an oyster shell. I just cannot, I don't have that confidence, even though I think I'm a good writer and I've written some really good, really maybe a few great songs, but um, to show up in a like a Music Row meeting, where the people meet and you never met and you're like trying to work a song out, man. Woo, that's hard. That is hard.
Intimidating. Yeah, for sure. And
I just clam up. But I'm getting over it. A lot of it's just getting out of your own head and
Mhm.
knowing that, hey, I'm good enough to be here, with this person. Let's do it.
Well, I would also say too, one thing I learned over the time being here is don't be too married to any idea, and also be willing to take a ride with somebody down a road they're trying to go with, like an idea. Like, because sometimes I used to, in my early days, if I felt like something wasn't right from the start, I would kind of not be willing to keep in that playing in that yard a little bit, whatever idea they had, and it
But
would,
you're a married man, aren't you?
yeah, you know.
I
Maybe
don't.
that's why things have changed for me.
Well, me too. You learn to compromise. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a lot of push and pull, and it's the same thing with writing. It's co-writing. You know,
it is.
there's
Um,
always, I'm not going to agree, but the thing is, what's cool about it is if you don't, there has to be that thing where I don't think that's a good idea, or let's tweak it. To not have an ego about it and not be a jerk and be like, you could be passionate about that, but you have to be willing to bend
you do.
and try new things. That's what's good and bad about co-writing. But it's
Yeah,
good if
you run into dead ends, and sometimes things just don't work, and some people don't.
yeah
They just don't write well together. And other people do. I mean, it just clicks. For whatever
yeah.
reason works, and
And what's great about, and if anybody out there is songwriters, like always, if you can help it, write with somebody whose strengths are your weaknesses. Like same thing with marriage. I mean, you got to complement each other.
yeah,
Uh, not everybody's great at everything. I don't think. I mean, some people are, and I hate them. But uh, I
uh,
hate, I'm just kidding.
I
I'm
know,
just,
I know one of them. His name is Shawn, but anyway.
what? Camp on camp. You ever see that guy play mandolin? Woo.
Shawn Camp.
Yeah. like years ago, because I was listening. He had a song on a Guy Clark record that he co-wrote with Guy called Magnolia Wind.
Oh yeah, that's a great song.
Oh, great song. And I was at Bongo Java. This was probably 15 years ago. And I was kind of new to town. And I was actually working as a security guard at Belmont University. I actually drove around in a police cruiser. If you could believe that, I had a badge. But I went into Bongo Java to get coffee and a donut because, and can't line in front of me. And I don't know what provoked me to like just start singing Magnolia Wind behind him as he's waiting in line.
Oh no, you did
I
not.
just him to know that I knew who he was and that I loved that song. So I just kind of started singing it, and he turned around and I was like, that's a great song. He just kind of laughed, but I want I want to write a song that great where I'm in line at a coffee shop and someone behind me just starts singing it. Like,
Yeah, dude. So yeah, in general though, with writing Open Road, it was a really great experience for sure, Shawn. Like, it's always feels good when you have an idea and you know just the right person to bring it to. And I do remember that was the case. It's like, okay, I have this song. I think it's really good. I think it has high potential for me and also just being a good song. But I think it's Shawn is the guy who needs to help me finish it. That's what I remember saying that before we set up the write. And
here for you.
Well, worked out. And you came over and you did really help me like tighten it up and get it to where it needed to be. In general, it does. It ended up, as I was trying to piece together the ideas for the record, what songs I wanted on it and where things would go. Open Road was always, one that was sort of an anchor point for the record. And at one time I thought the whole record was going to be called Open Road. That's not the case anymore, but it is a key. That's how key the song is. So
Yeah.
I appreciate
Writing
it with me, man.
Nailed it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys learned a lot about Open Road. I hope you enjoy it. We loved writing it, and it's always a pleasure to write together and to write good songs, and glad that this song became something that we've done a lot of cool stuff with. And will be another video where we're going to talk about Shawn's guitar work on this record. So definitely check that out on the website. And hope you guys all stay well, and we will catch you next time in the writer's room. We'll see you.
Writer's room, Ronny Criss.
See you, man.
With the wind at my back and a new sky on the horizon, letting go of the past, catch my future where it happens.
I thought he was just a songwriter singer, but
He's a great guitar player, but I know I think he might play. I'm not sure, but he's a bad at it.
Two guys talking about a guy they don't know who he is. We might cut that out.